I think
So I'm just wondering when I'm supposed to start it off.
Go, bro.
Well, first thing I'd like to say is big welcome for all our group out there today who's given up a couple of hours on a Sunday so we could kickstart. We've got to find a good name for this. It started off with the yarning circles and all our talks around the fires. It's been going for a long time, and I think it's good now that we got to this point where we can talk to people, because a lot of us sometimes can't travel too far. We're old and sick and whatnot, and it might be a good way to talk to people, and other people who's not on there, we have to reach them as well and give them a chance down the track. And what I'm feeling is the time is right now for our mob to start talking, to start having our say, because goes back to the way back to 250 years when the other mob came here and upset our world. And with all the stuff that's been happening over the past few years, and even before that, we have to talk about yesterday, unlock what happened yesterday, and talk about it today so we can have a good plan for the future, which is tomorrow. 3 days I talk about: yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And it's pretty hard. There's a lot of things have been taken away from us since 250 years ago. Our land, our people, and also our rights as the government of this country, running this country. We've looked after this whole country for 40,000 years plus. We didn't wreck the rivers, the lakes, the mountains, anything. We dig it up, we didn't wreck it, we looked after it because we loved it. And when the other mob arrived, we never had a chance, probably until like now we got our voice and we got this modern technology thing. We have to re-educate ourselves and also educate the new ones about what we do, how we look after the land, how we love the land, and where we're going to go tomorrow. And this is good. This is a good way to start. Oh, I got a big plan for all you mob. Here I am talking on a little phone and TV set. I want to put this on the Opera House. Brother, I'm looking at you. I want you on the Opera House. Opera House. Only a joke, only a joke. But next time we have the yarn down the track with all our good supporters out there, we can tell the story straight from the heart, straight, the real story, no lies, the truth. And we have to go back, educate people to look after this old country. So us oldies can make sure that when we go, it's the country and it'll be good for our little ones. That's what the aim is. That's the goal, I think. And there's a lot of good people out there, and there's a lot of funny ones. We've got to educate them on too. The government people, they don't listen to us too much. They run their own show. the money mucks things up. We looked after this country for 40,000 years plus without $1. We never had $1. We just walking around, free people, loving our country, walking down them rivers, walking everywhere. We had no borders. The borders only a mark on the country. We crossed into all these places. We lived and loved and free. We walked. We're free people. But 240, 50 years ago, we're not free. We're still in prison. We got bars around us. And the government's got a lot to answer for. They need to come good. If we're ever going to live on this country together, they need to come good and come and sit down and talk with us like our other good mob. We've got a lot of good people out there. And everybody wants peace. Want peace for ourselves and peace for our country. Something like that. And the ones who miss out, if you can't think, we need to get people to write in. Otherwise, sometimes we can talk. Write in our information, our knowledge, pool our knowledge, our spirit, and all that, so we can make a better life than what we live in. This life is a bit too hard for everybody. Something like that. What do you want, reckon?
Yeah, well, you know, it go back to the language, you know. What we talk about as the first people and our ancestors' understanding of things, our meaning is different than the meaning of this civilization, you know. When it all go back to when Captain Cook come here, and they just saw the resources, you know, and they knew that our old families were living here, but they didn't want to understand it and talk to us about how we get on in this world. They just wanted to have their own way and to establish a civilization here, see? So with me, people, it's our meaning, you know, is different than government meaning, than people who deal in big finance, big money. I mean, I'm a black fella who talk about his country, my old family, my law, all that, but it doesn't seem to make a difference to how government talk about the world, you know, and about what ticks inside, you know, and what the law says about life. Government can't talk that language, and that's the big barrier I'm looking at.
That's the one, brother, you're right. And see, the other thing, we got to take back the government. We got to run this country. Them mob can't run this country because they don't know. We got to show them how to run. We got to lead the way. We the government of this country. We the real original people from this whole country. And all that other stupid way, silly way, and money way, and all that it doesn't cater for us. Something like that, when I mean something like that, it's we cannot keep going the way we are. Because the way we are, it's just pressure. And that's not our way, like you said, that's not our style. So we got to govern this country again. Give us back that government. We got to govern the country. Simple as that.
But how do we get that through to the politicians? And their language is completely different. It's another way of doing things in this world, and it doesn't mean that much to me, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, politics is only a little thing in my life, you know. I heard one old man talk a while ago that really, us Aboriginal, we talk about things eternal. Us Ngati Mundo, you know, how you this civilization that was born here, they had some belief too, you know. They had a Bible book. They had that Kaban, you know, that book. And that's their belief, but it didn't matter much after 250 years. So that language barrier is still between us and them. And they talk about, you know, one Australia, you know, we are one, you know, but they got to be truthful in the end and about telling the truth for 250 years. And the way I'm looking at things is that you got to tell the truth. And they tried it with their religion about telling the truth about, you know, we're going to love one another. Well, that's right. We got to respect one another. But where's the truth behind it, you know? The evidence so far, you know, over our way in Queensland, people, they looking and they going down to Brothers Way too, to old Lake Eyre there, and that all that country, and that they call it the Big Basin, and they want to dig it up now in Queensland, and all that underwater, underground water are running. It run from through my place too, up here in Cape York, that whole river. It runs straight down there too to the centre, you know. And we got to find a way of telling the miners, hang on, you're dealing with the things that make life grow, and they're running underneath, and they still going in there and dig it up and make money. Well, well, me and their language are completely different, and I'm stonkered now, and I'm just sitting down watching them talk, you know, about living in Australia.
Yeah.
You know. That's it so far. Yeah. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Yeah, no, you're right, but I noticed that, say, like 3-4 weeks ago, what got me 3-4 weeks ago is what happened in the sister girls' country there in the WA. They blew up the whole country.
Yeah.
There. That was horrible.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm frightened from, that they're going to do the same at the lake if we don't stop it. And everywhere else, anywhere else. But that dynamite blowing up explosive was horrible. And now it's a crime. It's a crime. Over there, they charge people with genocide, with war crimes and whatnot. And this is fully supported by these governments. The government support these big giant mining companies to do that. And the people do too, because they don't know what we're talking about any different. They will blow up anything. And that's the worst thing I've ever seen for a long, long time. And yeah, all right. Is there anyone else out there? Because I talk too much sometimes.
Can I raise a question about, you know, Kawanji, I hear what you're saying about talking to government. Now they're just a sort of noise somewhere over there. Lots of us don't even bother to listen because it's all going to be desolate, what we hear. And thinking about the big picture of how to mobilise popular feeling amongst the people, forgetting perhaps about addressing government whose ears are closed anyway, but the idea of helping to, what your words are, bro, to rise up, to generate a movement which is full of information and appeal across the country. I can say from a white fella perspective that there's an awful lot of grief amongst our people about what we've done and about the legacy that we're leaving to all the children who live on this continent. It's a matter of great, it's profound cultural shame, disgrace. And I wonder if it's something to think about how the First Peoples, how in a way generating a bit of theatre that can bring forward the voices that we so deeply need to hear. And this is your voices.
The thing is, I wish you're talking to brother there.
Yep.
Here he is.
You there?
Yeah.
Now, what I'm thinking is we are waiting. Old people out there waiting. We've been pounded, grounded, we've been thrashed, we've been murdered, we've been bashed, we've been all sorts of things. Before, if we speak out, we'll get shot. If we speak out now, we might get shot or we get jailed. We're still the same thing. They threaten us. They do everything to stop us from talking. A lot of old people and us, we're scared. We don't want to get tasered. We don't want to get shot. We don't want to get locked up and all this sort of stuff. And it's hard to stop a bulldozer from going into ripping up our land. The understanding's not there, but we are waiting. The whole country's waiting. Our people's waiting for people to come and sit down and listen to us. So we can open the doors up, we can open gates up, we got knowledge, we got everything. We're just waiting for this thing to happen. And this is where I say yarning like this, talking like this can get us all there. We can't get everybody in one place at once, but we can get things going and the young people talking, interpreters talking for the different language groups and everything, so we can take the pressure off ourselves and then we can open the door to the peace, the knowledge and that. But we got no resource, we're not equipped at the moment. We got all the disease in the world and whatnot. And the government's making the decision for us by shutting off the border with all this other stuff and the death in custody and the Black Lives Matters and everything. And if you kill the country and if you kill us, and if you kill the animals, and if you kill the sacred trees, and everything like that, the whole country will get back at you. That's why you get the virus. That's why you get all these bushfires. That's why everything happening. It's a government-made thing. It's not a natural disaster. We can control the whole country. Our people, we're really waiting. All the mob's got to just do is listen to us, come and listen to us, and all this stuff. We're struggling. And we are hungry for peace. We're hungry to save ourselves. We're hungry to save our country, our sacred country, not like blowing it up and all the things like other week and shooting people and killing people and all that. They're our kids. And the jails and the judges and the juries and the government, we don't need them. We make our own, the good one. The people got to run this. We got to run this country. Them people don't like it. I don't know. We can make bad ones good again if they want to. But while they're holding the gun at us and tasering us, shooting us, killing our country, it's no good. We wasn't meant to be that way. We got to make it good again. I think that, yeah, it's pretty good. I like what's happening here. I'm hungry. Our people ready, waiting. They can, right. We can have crabbery, we can have everything. Make people happy.
Bill, you started talking, but you're on mute. Can't hear you.
This Uncle Tyson. How are you, brother? This is good. It's only a start. Yeah, this is only a start what we're doing. And
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's it, Bill.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Bill.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill, that's you, Bill. Good. You wrote the book, Bill.
It's obviously to talk about what Whitefellas have done wrong in the past would take more time than we've got lifetimes for. We never get through all that. I think it's more important for Aboriginal people not to say what whites did wrong, but what blacks got right. And then you could go on to show how that would help the whole of the community in the future. For example, fire, Vic's been working on, and when I saw him on the ABC, he didn't get a fair run at that. But still, that's one thing to talk about, where Aboriginal knowledge can help the future. And then looking after plants and looking after animals and showing how Aboriginal land management skills can promote farming and make the country productive and persuade whitefellas to listen more to Aboriginal people. In other words, we've got to, seems to me, we've got to focus more on what Aboriginal people can contribute, what's been ignored in the past, but what could be of great value in the future.
It's a little bit, it was a little bit hard to hear you there, Uncle, but that's good.
Honey, do you want to repeat what Bill said?
I'm all
Honey, do
right,
you want to repeat what Bill said so that, oh.
Honey might repeat it.
No, I think that was good. I think I got the main thing about it.
Yeah.
But I just want to sort of go a little bit, the big picture. The big picture is that us human beings, I've said this a few times before, our creators gave us a beautiful world, us human beings, and we mucked it up, and now we have to pay for the damage we've done. Otherwise, we're going to get punished by the creators in our country. I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of us. So you could be born into this funny world, what could have been a beautiful world, what is still a beautiful world. We're going to make it beautiful. It's us people who care and who worry about it and worry about our little ones. What are you going to leave them? We can't leave them in a whatever. And we don't deserve that as humans. And our little ones, look, we're locked up. There's, just in my little area, I'm just one or two old fellas running around. All my young ones are all locked up in jail. We've had suicides, all sorts of things happening. And the people are jumping the fence, they're selling out. Some of my mob have gone there too as well. They're going for the big dollar. They want the dollar, they want the money, the greed. So it's sad to see my people digging up the old country. And the greed, the selfishness, the greed is just, wow. Once you get greedy and selfish, you don't worry about anybody. You don't worry about your mother and father or any of your kids. You just want the dollars, almighty dollars. And they join the bad gang that kills us all. And it's just torture, it's like a torture. A living mental, I don't know what you call it, other names. It just drives you crazy because of how this world is. That's the way it is. We don't want that. We've got to get rid of all that. Whether you call a spade or whatever, it's got to be done. In the olden days, we had the prevention. You had prevention. Everything, we got that good person before that good person went bad. We prevented them from going bad in the old way. And I can't kill anybody nowadays. I can't spare anybody because I'll end up in the white man's court and the white man's judge, and I'll be the one who goes to jail, not the criminal. They call me the criminal. I'm the bad fella. But actually, they're the bad blokes. They're the ones who are doing the wrong and getting away with it. We've got a lot of issues going on. And talking about death in custody, there's never been a policeman or any of those fellas charged. Nothing. All the massacres that took place in the past, nothing happened. There hasn't been any slavery. The boss of the Prime Minister saying there's been no slavery. Well, what do you think made the Kidmans rich, the Stockmans and everybody else rich? Us blackfellas, us Aboriginal Stockmans. And flour, sugar and tea. You know? I'm not after money. I'm just after peace, if I can find peace. For my people and for my country. That's why I always try to piggyback on any talks and conference to try to get the message through. But people write me off as a nutcase, a mad thing, but that's all right. I can take all that. But the truth is the truth. No one can beat the truth. You can tell a lie, people can see through you. But if you tell the truth, no one can beat that. And I'm always around the place somewhere. Not only me, it's not about me. It's about us, everybody. We're going to live on this earth whether we like it or not. And the best way, what we need to find. So we've got to pay for it. We've got to pool our knowledge, our ideas, our spirit, our love and all that, so that we can make a good way. I just got to go for a little tour break. I'd like to hear from some of the other mob out there. It would be lovely.
Well, can I ask something of Anne? That Anne has
Can I talk to? I want to talk to because of that picture started to torture to that look after the people are culture low strong teaching all the young people and all the midlife people too learning teaching properly to that learning to that low way culture low strong because the Lord give him a really, really strong law culture. Look after him strong.
Yeah.
And teaching all the young people. And after that, gotta be learning all the young people. And we are old now.
Yeah.
Gotta take over and teaching properly to the law culture, to learning, because the Lord gave him to that really, really strong law culture for Aboriginal people. All the Aboriginal people gotta give him God. This is the truth, the Lord way. We look after that all the young people and midlife people are strong law, give him teaching, learning to the all the young people to sin right. Okay? Thank you very much. That's a good story. I took to really strong law culture. Gotta look after my own country.
One we're going to come back for.
Thank you. Please.
I think.
Could we ask you about your the Anne and people around Fitzroy River have made a film, and just hearing what you've been talking about and the desperate need for the whole country to hear the message, the law, the way of speaking and the way of thinking about climate, country and waters and future life. Finding ways of bringing 3% of the population and of a crushed First Peoples, bringing that voice forward. And perhaps we could think upon ways to do that. And Anne's worked on and just accomplished a special performance in your country. Anne, would you like to tell us a bit about the Serpent's Tail?
Yeah, I just want to go to the beginning, which is this land has a law. It has a first law, law of the land, not law of man, which is totally different to white law, crown law. So a lot of the things we're saying, and I guess why we're all on the conversation today, is that we share the same values, the same ethics of an ethics of care, which is rooted in this landscape. Country is alive. Living waters are alive. They don't need what some people are working on, which is an earth jurisprudence, because this is the law of the land. So a lot of the work that I've been doing in the last 10 years is really to look at what does this mean, because what we're doing is really challenging the systemic processes of oppression in this country, which is framed on a lie. So You know what I mean? And one of the things we have had to unlearn is that as sovereign people, we are free. And this has to start in our own mind and in our own heart and in our own spirit, because it needs to really be adopted from that perspective. So as Indigenous people, if we think that we are oppressed in a colonial framework, that's how our life is shaped. So one of the things that we've been doing in the Fitzroy is to some extent unlearning some of the situations that we as Aboriginal people, as First People, as original people of this land, how are we rebuilding trust, respect, dignity between Indigenous nations? Because for the last 150 years, part of the process is that we also are colonizing each other. So we need to get to a point where we are in our minds thinking as free people that this is the way that we go, and that our principles and our values are rooted in the land, because one, country is alive. It holds memory from the past, the present, into the future in this moment now. And so we must start from that basis that country is watching us, that the living waters are alive because they are from a spirit that connects all of us in this country as the driest continent in the world. So we have this memory of trade, of sharing, of a circular economy based on reciprocity. So all of this work is coming out in a lot of work that I'm doing, one in terms of publishing papers and sending them globally about first law, law of the land, not law of man. And until we come to that fact in this nation, we'll always be in a problem, because we're trying to fit two worlds into one, and one doesn't respect the other. So we need to come from that basis. So a lot of the work that we do is around first law. It is around decolonizing our own minds to believe that we are free people, we are sovereign people, and our rights are embedded in the land and the living waters and the natural resources that we have farmed from the beginning of time as Indigenous farmers. I mean, the work that I've, many years ago did with Vic has really showed me in my mind that country is alive. It's healing, it's got power, it can regenerate itself if we use the right tool of fire. Because that's how we manage our Indigenous states from the beginning of time, which is what's validated in Bill's work. So I guess the first point for us as Indigenous people is really going back to first law principles, which recognizes that country is alive, it has power, it is a living witness that is watching us and has an expectation of us as human beings to do the right thing. That our relationships for the world, with the world, of the world, are based on the fact that we have a relationship with living creatures, non-human beings, that makes us equal, and that this is a lifelong project and experience. So for us, over the last 10 years, it's about, to some extent, freeing our own minds up as Indigenous people to, one, realize that for the last 40 years, what native title's done is made it a conflict paradigm, and we've been at war with each other. So that's really, really important. If we're going to move forward, we first of all need to heal and reconcile ourselves as Indigenous people from the oldest living culture in the world, and realize that that has meaning and it is profound. And when we engage with our landscape as a living system, we can learn new things, because the country teaches us to see the world a different way and be in that world. So a lot of the work we're doing, what am I publishing, is all around first law, because I think we really need to look at how do we challenge the Crown law and the imposed legal framework that is dictating the separation of our lives into land, water, people, rather than integrating those. So that's that perspective. The work I do is not just in legal scholarly work. I am also producing plays that are going global, because I find that through culture and the arts, That is a powerful way of storytelling, which is the Indigenous method. So using multiple forms of how do we get that emotional hook into the hearts, the minds, the spirits of our fellow human beings, because this cannot be a journey that's just Blackfella orientated. This is us as Indigenous people bringing the gift of wisdom to this nation to say, how do we do this? Because we are dealing with complexity and we need collective wisdom. We need transdisciplinary scientists. We need legal minds. We need, most of all, for this to be led by our elders and the voice of country. So if we can start from that sort of framing, then we're on something. But what you were mentioning is that we created a film called The Serpent's Tail. It's about 48 minutes long. And what that did for us was it was a healing way for the nations to come together. And we didn't know what the story was. We just all committed to what the journey could be. And when we've made this film, what it has shown is that the first law of the Fitzroy River, which is Wallangari law, is still alive and being practiced in modernity today. So in terms of our challenges to the legal system, we have real evidence of how that law is still in the land, is still in the living water, and that's what we're using to transform legal pluralism. You are totally right by saying we come from a peace approach. There is a map that I have from 1697 that was painted by a Sicilian explorer who came to the Kimberley and wrote and did this beautiful painting, and he put land of peace. So we come as Indigenous people because of our guardianship with the land and the living waters, come from a peace perspective, but because of colonialism, we have to understand the strategies of war. And so one of our strategies is strategic litigation, to be able to at least start to chip away at what is wrong with the myth that this country was legally invaded, and show that's what happened in the past. But in order for us to right size where we need to go in this nation and globally, we need to be able to be bringing in first law, law of the land, not law of man. And so that's the big challenge. So this film has shown that despite native title, 6 of the 8 nations are saying we still have this law, which is for the river, but we also have a wider law of regional governance called the Wunan law, which was a law of trade, of reciprocity, of circular economies. And that's what sustained us. So what we're saying is that we need to go back and start to document and evidence that the law is in the land, and that we need to have cultural governance or regional governance models that are earth-centered, place-based. And from that concept, Indigenous people can grow our leadership, our wisdom, and we can partner with non-Indigenous people from multiple disciplines to show that we have the knowledge, the wisdom, the lived experience, and the practice from first law, what the Uluru elders were talking about. We have this law that's still there. And what we're saying is that nothing's going to be right-sized unless we come to that point as human beings. The last point before I finish, someone said to me, with the Extinction Revolution rebellion people, someone said, oh, well, if we are so stupid as human beings that the planet will be able to right-size itself without humans, it has the capacity to do that. And it took me a second, but I said to them that Mother Earth is very powerful. She will right-size without humans, but without the vibration of human beings on the planet, on the land, the Earth will be lonely. So I'm working in very big space, particularly starting from sitting on the ground, because we have to center ourselves from that position. But I believe there's great hope out there. I believe that there are people, non-Indigenous people, leadership in this country that is looking for a new way to right-size governance, government, because we are living with the illusion that we are living in a democracy when we're living in a constitutional monarchy. And so until we start to frame this idea that what we've got is broken at a mainstream level, we're not going to see this. So I just wanted to just paint a very quick picture that I'm working right across, not this nation, but the world with other Indigenous people, and done fabulous work with Victor there, and thinking that the time feels right. The time feels good. And I think it's about strategy. And I think it's about how we bring all of this collective wisdom in, one, to right size our regions, our nations, and the world. But it cannot happen without first law. And that's my personal opinion. Thank you.
Yeah.
Warren and Bandak, come away.
And thank you. That was what you said about the law coming from the land. That's something Kawanji told me about 30 years ago, and it took me a long time to understand. But I think you're also right that there is now a ground of deeper understanding, spiritual inquiry certainly amongst non-Indigenous people, and quite a movement on behalf of Earth Mother, Gaia. And how I perceive it, I suppose, is that we're all very delighted, you know, we've discovered Earth Mother, and we can all say, oh, isn't she lovely, and we want to love her and so forth. But the big secret is something that you said. She loves us. She actively loves us, like God loves. So we say God loves us. Well, Mother Earth, same thing. And we can have a means of communicating means of communicating this into people's living rooms across the country, build the sense of the life and suffering of the Earth Mother. The ground is kind of there, and if through the voice and knowledge, the intellectual knowledge of First Peoples, that this idea can be raised up. Once we realise that what we're trashing is our living, loving, sensitive, grieving mother, everything changes. Changes the whole attitude to how you look at the country, to what's under your feet. And it brings us around to wondering how we could, between us, start to move these understandings, these deep ideas out into the community as Anna's doing.
Excuse me, I think Uluru elders were wanting to speak before.
I beg your pardon, thank you.
Thank you.
Uluru.
The old people says people want to talk there.
Yeah.
The old people want to talk. Uluru.
Uluru.
I don't know how much time we've got.
Can you hear us here? Can you hear Uluru elders here?
Yeah, here we go, yeah.
Can you hear us here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You want to come talk?
I'll
hold it. You want to come talk here?
Give me your thing.
Yeah, everyone they can hear us today, you know. We've got Reggie here. Just coming Dave, come here. Come on.
You gotta go, babe.
Get it off my friend. Well, let's see. We should be on. Hurry up. No, that's going to break it.
Hurry.
All right, there we go. Right, let's go that way. Can you hear Uluru Elders here?
Yes.
Can you hear Uluru here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, my name you know. Radio Royal. Radio Royal.
Ah. We're connection.
Oh, can you? Are we here now, Uluru
Yeah.
Elders?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah. Go on.
I've been working here. When I work again, I don't want to be. When I calling my brother, don't yeah, could get a year, young boy that we worry, young boy. Too much religion, just worry about it. Any young fellow going to my anything done wrong. And we really happened here when I was young. I can chill American. I look at them people, for them young fella. I got you know. That's what I can tell him. I know I got to shoot with a dog. But yeah. Might be listening.
I think I can hear.
Yeah.
Let's see if this turn around a little bit. Have we got sound here? Can you hear us from Uluru? Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Judy Tricker from Uluru, and we always teaching all the kids, and they're learning for our culture, and they learning for sing a song and dance. That's why we here, all our people, all the elders too. They're telling a story about culture side. And we always look after them, all the little ones, and they learning for this culture, and they're dancing, some people singing, and other people, all our people, they're pushing all the young ones too, and they're dancing. We're all dancing. Sometimes we teach all the girls, sometimes they're all people, they're teaching all the boys. And we always sit down and sing a song, and we're learning. Not we learn, we just learn kids for this culture. That's why we are in this community. Thank you. Bye.
Three. See if that's a good result. Did everyone can everyone hear us?
Yes.
I'm not quite sure how this reception is going here.
Fine, we can hear you very well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm just helping here really with everyone to be able to speak and feel part of this. Because very often we have this
What you done there?
these big meetings. Can you see us here?
Yes.
I'm not quite sure about the reception. Let's see. Can you see? Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any feedback on this.
We can see you and we can hear you.
Oh, good. Good. I think that the elders here just wanted to have a say and feel part of this, so that they could be part of what's going on today. One more time.
That's why I can't listen to the people are talking back way. I talk to really true story, proper way, proper story, and that people are talk to me behind, sitting and talk to and now listen properly. We want teaching properly for the Lola, with learning properly for that people are teaching the young people, for that young people and the old people are teaching properly. See, lot of noise. I can't talk really hard. But a lot of noise when I was talking really true story. Because Lord, why Lord everyone to the Lord, like young people are teaching properly, learning to the young people, take over for the Tukulba, low culture, look after them really strong.
Okay. Are we all done? They can hear everybody. Yeah, they're just watching and listening. Everybody.
Yeah, everybody's watching and looking at. But back way, one can be a little bit of one can pull him out. You know what I'm going to one can you one can I pick up really.
Let's go. Do you know how to unmute this so that they can join the conversation, please? I'm not sure.
Hello, Uluru elders, you've just muted. That's it. Now we hear you and we see you.
Right. We can't listen.
So, Nelly, do you want to find something?
Yeah, because when I was started talking, and there are other people are talking back way to yelling and everything, and but I gotta be listen to that when I was talk to really strong, low culture, look after teaching for the people, for the young people and the middle-aged people, teaching properly, and people now for the whole middle-aged people, but that we want to teaching to the young people, all the young people that are learning properly and take over. We know I to pass away to the old elders people. We are old now, but we got teaching properly to the whole young people. Young people that are learning properly and take over. But Yukur Papulka, strong low culture. And learning, all the people gotta come and join and learning too. A lot of people. Because all of different countries to look after culture strong, low strong. Good, strong, look after teaching for the people, young people. And young people got to learning properly and take over. Right. Thank you very much. My name is Nelly Patterson.
Thank you, Nelly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something. I'd like to pick up on something that's sort of come back up again and again, and it's about truth. I understand that we can spend an awful lot of time talking about all the wrongs that have been done that could be seen as futile. I don't think it is. I think that if we're going to get to a point where we're going to live together out of respect, we have to have truth. And until we have the truth, and it starts with the false history, the massacres, the theft of land, the theft of children, the slavery that's built the economy that this country is still thriving on, until we have that truth, we can't walk together forward. We can't. It's not possible, because we'd be walking on a lie. And to understand the first law of country and all that that entails, we have to come to the truth. And that dialogue has to happen in person. That conversation, that means we have to come together and we have to sit together, because it's about experience. If I've wronged another person, I can only experience, I can only feel that wrong in my heart if I'm in the same space, breathing the same air with the person I've wronged. And if I can sit there and hold their pain and acknowledge the truth, out of that I can come to a place where there's something else possible. And unfortunately, before the virus happened, we were going to have the massacre yarning. And to the massacre yarning, there were some people who were going to come who work with restorative justice, who bring people together so that when you've got people coming together, they come together out of respect and they listen to each other. And when they leave that space, they're willing to change. And maybe because of this virus, whether it's real or fake or whatever, we can't meet in big groups anymore, but maybe the alternative is for the elders on country to come together with non-Indigenous people and to have smaller gatherings, but a lot of them, so that we can still get to this place where we're starting to speak truth. Thank you for listening.
If I could speak, Hazel, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello, thank you, Iris. In the little small circles of making peace that is happening, there are stories of healing where people are hearing one another in those little places. And it's a connection of many little places that are making the big story. On the 29th of April, without my knowledge or any connection, a small group of people had a small ceremony at the Captain Cook Park and statue area, where the government had just spent $47 million polishing up a monument to untruth. But there was a small ceremony where people made little desert peas and shared the stories of truth and laid a wreath. And I had never met those people, but I understand that they were seeded by tiny making peace circles from other times and places. So what I've been hearing today is the stories of hope, and what Anne was saying, we need to hear the truth, and what Iris was saying, we need to hear the truth, but that truth needs to be somehow disseminated. We need a bridge to truth, and the government doesn't supply that to us. It needs to be a move of the people. And so Iris's idea of the many small places all speaking the truth, becoming something that grows into a larger organism, I think that's possible. I think when the people get together and move together as one, we can overcome all of these things. And I think the mood is now getting stronger for that to happen. As Uncle Kevin has said, country is rising up to punish, and we have been shaken. The white fella is deeply shaken at the moment, shaken by what he and she sees around the place and wondering, what have we done? And so now the harvest is ripe. It's now a fertile soil into which to sow the truth, because people are looking for answers and they are disturbed and they have no trust in the government to help them out. That's all.
I'm looking at the people around us here and how much during the lockdown, you know, I'm a reader, so I read books. Other people, you know, watch movies and all kinds of stuff, but the which a lot of us have undertaken in the last few months. My whole view of this country has been changed by the authors who are in this Zoom with us today. And I thank you so much for writing down, recording your work, your observations, your comprehensions of your culture. And, you know, Tyson, your description of proper worldview. Vic, I'll never see the land again. 1,000 feet with an old gentleman with fire sticks, and to understand how the country works. And Bill, your book, I'm so looking forward to Anne's film, and thinking again about communications, which is what Iris and Hazel have just been talking about. And I'm thinking we haven't got much more time now, but whether or not we could actually look towards bringing forth your truths. And there's a great simplicity about the understanding too. Just the knowledge that the old girl is feeling, she's upset, she's cross, she's grieving, and she's striking back. And also that we can love her back. These are very large, simple things. And I wonder, as along with all the history others have been talking about, whether we could think towards getting the information into people's living rooms. One of the big reliefs for me has been to read Charlie's book. And I have despaired about the country, but it's all just up in New Zealand. Most of the tops are in Australia. Charlie, thank you. We can, and with the work that Vic's done and with the understandings that you all have about land care and land management, it can be brought back. It can be brought back to health. And I just reflect this back to you because my son, a couple of days ago, said to me, "Oh, Mum, what's the point? You know, the country's stuck." Not quite the word he used, actually. And I was pleased to be able to say, "Look, it's not over. It's not over. But we need understanding across the country." And I'm wondering whether we could reconvene sometime with like to join us and think about how we could communicate this to the wider community. And I'm not talking politicians, I'm thinking about the living rooms, I'm thinking books, communications, and excuse me, laptop. Right. Anyway, that's a thought, that we've got a big head full of knowledge on the screen right now, and whether or not we could put these heads together and dream up ways we can get this message into hearts and minds, which basically today I think translates into books and television, the screen, computers, getting messages broadcast in its widest sense. So there's a thought, and which Anne must have given quite a bit of thought to too. I wonder what you think about it.
It's interesting because I do work with a lot of young people, because young people are wise as well. And one of the things they say to me with all the storying is, if you haven't caught them in the first 7 seconds, they're not going to hang around to listen to the meaning of the story. So we need to be a lot more clever in regards to how we do this storying. And I think that's really powerful. No one's got 40 minutes to sit down and watch my film unless I'm at a special festival and it's that sort of time frame. But I think we need to find a better way of how to be creative storytellers, because it's all about story. So I think the challenge is, how do we take these big stories that are out there, how do we develop them up in a way that is creative, innovative, but will get the emotional hook to bring the people with us. So that's the challenge in terms of that. As I say, I use multiple ways to tell stories. It's through song, it's through ceremony, it's through stories, it's through plays, it's through publishing in prestigious legal journals, it's in writing books like The Amazing Story that Tyron, you know, what we've got now in terms of what's before us with Tyson's work, in terms of we have the wisdom and knowledge to right-size the planet. And so we need to find ways of how to get that emotional hook and bring people along with us. So I've been using animation, 3-5 minutes max. Nobody's got more than 7 minutes. So finding powerful ways to bring people together to share the story, because the Indigenous method is storytelling. So we need to find ways and work with our young people to be creative in terms of how we tell these stories that have got a punch and can bring the people with us. So that's just sort of off my, as I said, off the top of my head. We've invested heavily in community storytellers. So we're getting them digital ready. We're teaching them, and they're teaching us how to use these sorts of things. I mean, the work that Vic has done and started from the beginning of his career pathway is exactly around this. How do we create the power of the story to bring the people with us? How do we use film, song, whatever? So we've got multiple audiences out there. Not everybody's able to engage at the same rate. So it depends on being strategic and who you're telling and sharing your story with. But film is such a powerful way to bring the people with us. And I just find animation and what our young people are doing as the way of the new storytelling. Particularly around these concepts of, you know, like you said before we started, because I'm a bit of a late comer to this story, and there's many stories happening across this nation that I've had the privilege of sitting in and out with some of our fine leaders that are sitting here today. But I've got a big job ahead of me, which is to save our sacred river, to transform it in so many different ways that I only have a limited amount of time to give to human beings. So I need to be very, very strategic where I'm putting my effort and my energy. And I think this is very powerful because we need to find ways to keep the circle of wisdom with our senior people, continuously bringing us back to what is the meaning that we're trying to frame out there. But I think we need to look at this if we're going to get serious about engaging. What are the different levels that we can communicate on and put energy into? So, you know, I'm also someone who doesn't like to make a decision like that because I believe in waiting time. As we wait, other secrets get revealed and more people come into our pathway. I think there is definitely ways to be able to influence this at a personal level, at a community level, and at a systemic level. It's multiple strategies because what we're dealing with is complexity. But unless we have the wisdom and the circle of elders guiding all our processes, I think it can become delegitimized because people are hungry for what this hope might be. What is this wisdom that Indigenous people hold? How do they get it? So there's lots of things that we need to manage. Data sovereignty, the way we share stories, all of that. But I think I'm not sure. As I said, I've come in very late, but I have a good feeling. I go with feeling. I have a good feeling about this group. I think it depends on where you want to go and what you want to do. But I like what's happening, what I'm seeing in terms of the faces of the people that are in this space. I think there's a lot of collective wisdom that have not spoken today that we need to honor and privilege at some space. So there may need to be a range of different groups that get together and function across different strategies. So I'm just saying, like, I like the feeling. Hello, it's great. I feel like I've been sort of like a verbal diarrhea today, but I think that, you know, I look around, I see Vic as he hasn't said anything. I see Tyson and his family and his little son, you know what I mean? Like, there's opportunity to privilege voices and wisdom in multiple ways. And I'm just saying, the bottom line is the 7-second grab. If you haven't got them in that 7 seconds, they're not going to stay there. So
It's
think
great.
about those sort of things.
Right.
Okay. How much time we got left? Janet?
I'll stick around as long
About
as
10 seconds, Brian.
Yeah.
Keep going.
It depends how long people want to stay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on the call, you can stay on as long as you like. It's if people want to stay on. Yeah.
Oh, great, Janet. Thanks.
Well, this is but this,
Happy
is about the time when we thought it might finish 3:30, but it's up to the group. I might.
I think what we should let people know is this is like only a start.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people out there want to say things and want to talk for a long time and everything. But I think this is only a start, and it could be a big start. It is so far. It's beautiful to hear all the people talking, and people are really hungry and concerned for everything. And the next time we have to get better set up. more interpreters and things like that, because a lot of people out there, you know, want to tell it straight and whatever. We want action, but I guess time's running out. We've got to move quicker than the virus. You know how quick the virus went around and how quick the bushfires went around and Black Lives Matter went around? We have to be quicker than that. So I don't know what we're going to call ourselves, the peacemaking gathering, yarning. We have to move very quick to get the people out there, get this information, get all this knowledge out there to all our people, all the way. And sky's the limit with what we can do. And we've got knowledgeable people out there. We've got young people, old people. We've got a lot of young ones out there ready to go. They're just ready to take it and do it. And the quicker we do it, better off we will be. Quicker we can crack these loggerheads, the bad people, get them to come over, the better we will be, and the quicker we can make peace, so we could go home, so to speak. The country's ready, waiting for us, our spirit, everything. But it's good to hear you all, and I'm glad that we've organised this to get it going. It's not just my show, it's everybody's show. And we've been locked down, we're burning, we're ready to go, to get out there and have a go at something. Well, not something, we're having a go at the bad guys, I guess, and stop people from doing the bad things to us and the bad things to our country. No one can beat our spirit. That's what it's about. Our country's too good. And if we can't look after it, well, what are we doing here? Okay, that's me for a minute. But the ones that miss out, the ones that miss out down the track, write in, they can write in, jog in your talkers for next time round. And I don't know how often we're going to do this. I don't know how much, you know what I mean? But sky's the limit. And we have to do it, simple as that. Whether we like it or not, we just have to find that, bring it out. Okay. I'll have a smoke.
Sky's the limit, bro, and I could just leave a nice little picture that Donna Laurie mentioned the other day. He was going to be here, but he said, "Oh, I'm planning on big ceremony, big fight."
We will save him up for the celebration. Him and his band. He's a big muso. He's been around. Save him for the celebration.
Oh, Donna Laurie.
Yeah, he sees, you know, above the big cliffs there, and he's going to drones and people from all the countries all around, and big ceremony. Who knows? That's big theatre. Some lovely happening.
We know him, honey.
Yeah, we know him. Well, I see the brother, the five.
Victor.
Yeah, hello. How's it going?
Hey, Victor.
You're on, Vic. Molly Sanders.
I was waiting for someone to ask me a question. Oh, yeah. I can't talk first.
We'll leave the best to last.
Leave him to talk.
Because we got a lot of elders and yeah, I've got to wait for you fellas first. And yeah, and like I just want to say thanks for inviting me to get on this one, and it's really lovely to see you all. It's really lovely to hear whatever all the elders have been saying today. And, you know, and especially the Uluru elders there, like hello over there in Alice Springs and
yo.
And it's really lovely to hear what you're all saying, you know, and like all the old people all over are saying the same thing. And that's to get, you know, it's really simple. The request isn't very large. It's to get the young people involved and abide by or to look after country. And that's what we got to keep our mind on. And when we look at when Captain Cook first came to this country, the old people fed him and they looked after him. And there's other stories of white fellas that were in the bush and the mob took them in and looked after them and they became one of them. You know, and what that is a very powerful gesture. And that is so powerful that the people say, you can come here if you listen to the law of the country and you fall into the right way and you can be one of us. And that was a really important thing that all people, thousands of years on country where they, you know, they knew how to reconciliate the things that weren't from this country into this country. And Mother Nature is the best at reconciliating things. When things come here and the land works out how to live with it. And if it doesn't, then it spits it out all together. In the sense that, you know, that's been the most important thing for me is, and I think the most important thing for all the old people is to simply get going and get the job going and get things moving. And that's what we need to focus on, and not focusing on the government, not focusing on all the hurdles that they throw in front of us. I mean, if we acknowledge that, then it's going to exist. And if we acknowledge that, then we're going to have to do all that and play that game. But the most important thing that everyone was talking about today, and that I always will agree on, is that the land is the most important thing. And that is our biggest ally, is the country for Aboriginal people. And we need to be leading forward with the land. And we need to be, the land needs to, if we do that, the land will protect us. And that's where the truth is. And so it's always been based on activating the people, activating the communities and all the young people directly with the country, so that we can just start moving and start going forward in a practical way. And like you say, you know, we're not about talking, you know, yes, we're storytellers and stuff, but most of it is done through action and practical application. And we need to start doing it. And that's where, with the fire stuff, that's been happening. It's been exactly that. It's been activating those communities and getting it going, and doing it in a way that shares with the broader community, so that the broader community of the whitefellas and so forth can see the values and they can see the benefits and they can share in that wonderful successes and all that beautifulness. And that has been the key to developing a lot of respect with Indigenous fire management in this country, and being the key to getting a lot of non-Indigenous people respecting Aboriginal knowledge and people of this land. And so making that happen is the key for what I see as most important, is getting out there and just doing it. And there's a lot of people out there connected now. There's large networks out there, communities that are linking with each other, supporting each other right across the nation. And there's a lot of non-Indigenous people out there that are a part of that network now, right from farmers to people living in agencies, to just general landholders and private landholders, to people living in cities. They're all there. And we need to win all those hearts to support the country and to support the people of the country. And you know, from what I see, is what's happening. And if we can keep going on that road to where the government is just the only one outside that circle, then we can make things happen regionally and places to demonstrate and to really build that momentum. And that's why I say, you know, the land is our biggest ally, and you know, we still have the people on the country, and we still have a lot of knowledge, and we need to be focusing on just activating that and making it happen regardless of what the government thinks or what hurdles we need to jump through. And yes, we do need people to go down that legislation road and change things from a top level, and we need all that to happen. But more importantly, I think it's more important Let's get the action happening, and let's just start moving forward and bringing people along with the country so that it builds momentum enough to spit out the minority, which is going to be those negativity and those people out there that are all those greedy people that we're talking about. So we need to suppress the weed, not let them suppress us.
Turn it a bit. Yeah, that's good, brother. We need you young uns. I say once, we need you young uns. I'd like to get all my young uns out of jail. I might have to go out and break them out, I think. I need all my young ones out.
Yeah, and like all those programs, they come too, you know, like my uncle Russell Butler, he works with, in Townsville here, he works with them young juveniles and takes them out bush, and, you know, like the fire, what's happening with the fire now is only just the beginning, you know, to only opening the doors for many things to happen. And I think, you know, getting those young people out, you know, who are going to jail for little petty crimes, they should be going out there looking after the land. There's so much land to heal. It's going to take generations of work out there. And that way they can learn and understand the land better and get support for how they've lost their way. And that comes directly from country and opportunity. So, you know, as well as education as well, you know, there's lots of work that's happening, and there's lots of partnerships that are already built as well, and a lot of work around the fire space and other spaces and from other people here. And I think if we continue to collate that and work together and put our shoulders behind the one mechanism that's actually practical and not all talk, you know, but actually action going on, then I think that's going to be the momentum that I'm really interested in, and what I will continue to throw my life at. Thank you.
Thank
you. Yo.
Thank you.
Yo.
Beautiful. Who's next? Who's next?
Just momentarily, Vic, on that subject, there could be an awful lot of young people needing good stuff to do, young and middle-aged people, in the very foreseeable future with the economic turn down, indeed collapse. That's just a thought. I'll be with you there. Yeah, hands-on action, getting kids and grown people out there walking the country and working the country.
I won't be walking in my driving on a motorbike or something. Give us one of them big motorbikes. That can walk. I'll be... Give me a camel, I'll ride a camel. Okay.
We can piggyback.
It's gone. Where's my...
Here's Victor.
Kukalaju brother?
Is
he
Victor
gone?
Victor's still there?
Huh?
Victor.
Oh, no, I'm right.
No, I'm talking about the brother there, Kukalaju, the
Kwanji.
He's gone. He's having a sleep. Okay.
Kwanji gone?
No, he's still here. He is here.
Okay.
Kwanji?
Kwanji, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? I'll just see if I can unmute you.
He listened to us all. He's watching us all. He's taking it all in. Okay.
Gone.
I think everybody done a good job, Janet. Thanks to you. And,
well, thanks to Honey.
And Honey.
Honey and all the mob out there.
Hazel.
We're going to do this again. A bit of fun.
Right. Hey.
Oh, there he is. Yay.
You can hear me? You can see me.
There's Kwanji.
Oh.
There's Kwanji.
Yeah.
Then we got... Where's Kwanji? There he is.
Up in my country, I'm sitting in Kuranda, in Jabberkai country, and where I'm from is Palmer River, northwest of here. And when you go up the Captain Cook Highway, the police, they got the roadblock on there now. And our corporation, they want to take Bummer Aboriginal people, take them out the country. But when you get to the roadblock, you gotta give them identification. Well, I'll wait until all this thing blow over and they get away from the highway. because I'm not going to give them my identification to go see my own country. Yeah, you know, if I do that, then I'm saying that they gave me permission to go home, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, my country and me, one thing. You know, and the way of education, I think, it's got to be a tough road, this one, because we've been trying to tell governments ever since I was born. Our older people have been trying to tell government about how we speak for our country. And the government can't understand how we speak. They want us to say, this is the piece of paper, and this is on the agenda, and this is the way the situation is when it goes through the parliament. Yeah, as far as they're concerned. But the way Burma do it is completely different. So our languages, we missing each other all the way along the line. And the only way the other world, that civilized world, you know, where they build their civilization, the only way that they can understand Ngana, us, is to put down their piece of paper and to humble themselves. And I know this civilization don't know anything about being humble. They know about going to war on everybody all over the world. They've been going to war ever since it all began. And I'm not going to waste too much time in asking them to understand me. If they understand me, then they took the right road. They become humble. But like everybody's saying, we got things to do, and we can't go sitting down no more. We got to get our old home fires. We got to stoke up the old home fires.
Yo.
And you know, all over this whole country, even down the old country down Tasmania. That's the only way, you know. First law, I say Dimuru, Gunba Goro, you know, in the beginning, that one. And if the government can't understand where I'm coming from, I can't keep on trying to convince them, because it wasted my language, it wasted my life, and I'm giving my attention to somebody who can't listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. So I say we continue on, and education is the one. Education of the white world, and the education of our young people who walking in the two worlds, see? Some of our people have done away with walking in this civilized world. They fed up. But most of us, we living in the two world. And I say we just continue on, and to don't stop what we're doing. And it looked like education is the gear, the first gear to get us moving down the road. That's it. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. All right, Bruce. Good to see you again. Not this way, but I have to come up there, eh?
Yeah.
I have to come back up there and see you, Mary, and the kids again. No worries. May happen.
Right off.
All right.
Yeah.
To you, Janet, or Honey, I think it is. Or maybe Vic, I don't know who's out there.
Oh,
Hello.
well,
Still on?
I think, are we going to are we sort of agreeing that we could wind up now and go and have a cup of tea? But also, are we feeling like coming back again and bringing our mates, the ones who could help move this forward and turn it into the big idea, the big action, the big voice from the country?
We just have to keep building on this, I think. We keep building on there, I reckon we're there, and we're getting there, and it's going to go. I feel that this is going to go. It's going to go big time. And
you were looking to talk, sorry. I beg your pardon, Brian.
Really?
Sorry, I thought.
What are you?
She didn't hear you. That's good.
Oh, I'm holding this bloody phone. I'm still here. And I reckon this is good. We've started it off pretty well. You and Janet and Iris and the rest of the crew. I think we'll get there. No worries. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
We'll send out a message and
to you. Stay safe.
Call back.